Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris campaigned in Philadelphia Tuesday with Tim Walz just hours after Harris named the Minnesota governor as her running mate, before an audience of more than 12,000 people at Temple University. Governor Walz criticized his Republican rivals, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
Democrats, from former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to New York Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, praised Kamala Harris for selecting Tim Walz, who's seen by many to be a progressive populist. Walz was elected governor of Minnesota in 2018 after 6 terms in Congress, where he served as the ranking member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. A former public school teacher and high school football coach who served 24 years in the National Guard. As governor, Walz has been praised by progressives for signing legislation to codify abortion rights in Minnesota, provide free lunch to public school students, and enact new gun control laws. Walz himself is a hunter and gun owner who was once endorsed by the NRA. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro also spoke at the Harris rally in Philadelphia. Shapiro had also been in the running to be Harris's vice presidential pick. In news from Gaza, Israel's ordered Palestinians to leave the Beit Hanun area of Gaza City ahead of what's expected to be a new Israeli offensive. This comes as Israel's war on Gaza enters its 11th month. Meanwhile, Hamas has announced Yahya Sinwar will become the new leader of the group's political wing following Israel's assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran last week. Sinwar has served as Hamas's top leader in Gaza since 2017 and is credited with being the mastermind of the October 7th attack on Israel. One Hamas official told the BBC, quote, "They killed Haniyeh, the flexible person who was open to solutions. Now they have to deal with Sinwar and the military leadership," unquote. The news outlet 972 has revealed the Israeli army has been using Amazon's cloud services to store massive amounts of surveillance information on the population of Gaza. The news outlet also revealed Google and Microsoft have been providing the Israeli military artificial intelligence tools to help in its war on Gaza. A group of United Nations experts have condemned Israel for torturing Palestinians held inside Israeli prisons. In a statement, the experts wrote, quote, "Torture practices are irredeemably unlawful and constitute international crimes, yet form part of the modus operandi of Israel's notorious detention and torture system," they said. The experts went on to write, quote, "These practices are intended to punish Palestinians for resisting occupation and seek to destroy them individually and collectively," unquote. Meanwhile, the Israeli human rights group B'Tselem has published a major new report documenting how Israel's turned its jails into what B'Tselem calls torture camps. This is Sarit Michaeli, B'Tselem's spokesperson.
So firstly, it's important to tell the stories of the victims, of people who have been exposed to horrific abuse in Israel's prison system. Additionally, this publication is meant to change the reality. Therefore, B'Tselem has appealed to all nations and to all relevant institutions, including the International Criminal Court, to intervene, to end this reality and to hold Israeli policymakers accountable for what is going on, for the torture of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prison facilities.
Many Palestinians who have survived torture in Israeli prisons have spoken out after their release. This is Moazaz Obayat, who was held for 9 months in an Israeli prison.
The jail was very, very tough, as you can see in my situation. The proof are in my photos that show me before and after the jail. And that is enough to answer the question. It is an unfair detention, and there is killing, and they torture us with metal sticks. We were subject to all kinds of torture.
In Bangladesh, Nobel Peace Laureate Muhammad Yunus has been tapped to lead an interim government after mass protests forced Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to resign and flee to India. Yunus had been a vocal critic of Hasina's government. He's described her departure as Bangladesh's second liberation day. Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2006 for pioneering the concept of microlending. Thailand's constitutional court has ordered the disbandment of the country's largest opposition party, claiming it violated election rules by campaigning against a law that outlaws criticism of Thailand's royal family. Some 150 lawmakers with the youth-led Move Forward must now transfer to a new political party. The party had won the most seats in last year's election, but was blocked from taking power. Senior United Nations officials are calling on the global community to do more to help get humanitarian aid into Sudan after a famine was declared in at least one part of the Darfur region following 15 months of war between the Sudanese military and the Rapid Support Forces. Edem Wasarnu of the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs addressed the UN Security Council Tuesday.
When famine happens, it means we are too late. It means we did not do enough. It means we, the international community, have failed. This is an entirely man-made crisis and a shameful stain on our collective conscience.
In St. Louis, Missouri, County Prosecutor Wesley Bell has defeated Congressmember Cori Bush in a closely watched primary. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, and its super PAC spent $9 million to take out Bush, who was one of the most progressive lawmakers in Congress. The election comes just weeks after AIPAC helped defeat another progressive, New York Congressmember Jamal Bowman. Bush and Bowman have both been vocal critics of Israel's war on Gaza. During a speech to supporters last night, Congressmember Bush decried the impact of outside money on the race.
This was the second most expensive congressional race in our nation's history. $19 million and counting. And so that's how much they spent in this race. Mostly far-right funded super PACs against the interests of the people of St. Louis, the people of Missouri's first. They sought to divide us.
In California, a group of migrants jailed at 2 private immigration and customs enforcement jails have relaunched a labor and hunger strike, protesting dire conditions and demanding fair wages for detained migrant workers. The hunger strikers are also calling for the end to the excessive use of solitary confinement at the Mesa Verde and Golden State Annex for the facilities to shut down. Many of the detained migrants and asylum seekers are paid only $1 a day to perform janitorial duties and other jobs at the facilities, which are operated by the GEO Group. The hunger strikers have reportedly faced heavy retaliation for taking part in the peaceful protest. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 4 hotel workers have been charged with felony murder in connection with the death of Devontae Mitchell, a 43-year-old black father who died on June 30th after security guards pinned him to the ground for over 8 minutes outside a Hyatt Regency hotel. An attorney for Mitchell's family, William Sutton, welcomed the charges, saying, quote, "What caused his death was the fact that 4 people beat him to death on the sidewalk and jumped on top of him. That's why he's dead," he said. In media news, New York police have arrested Samuel Seligson, a local journalist, and charged him with felony hate crime charges after he filmed pro-Palestinian activists hurling red paint at the homes of top officials at the Brooklyn Museum. Samuel Seligson's lawyer, Lena Whitty, denounced the charges. She said, quote, "Samuel is being charged for alleged behavior that's protected by the First Amendment and consistent with his job as a credentialed member of the press. What's even more concerning, however, is that this member of the press is being charged with a hate crime," unquote. In other news about press freedom, prosecutors in Kansas have announced plans to charge the former police chief in the city of Marion with obstruction of justice for his involvement in a police raid last August targeting the town's local newspaper, the Marion County Record, as well as the home of the paper's publisher, Eric Meyer. His 98-year-old mother, Joan Meyer, who co-owned the newspaper, died of a heart attack a day after the police raided their home. And in Spain, climate activists spray-painted the mansion of the Argentine football star Lionel Messi on the island of Ibiza. The action was led by the group Futura Vegetal, which pointed to a report by Oxfam showing that the wealthiest 1% of the world's population generate the same amount of carbon emissions as the poorest 2/3 of humanity. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report.